In 2016, I traveled from Canada to America by bike. From Banff in the Canadian Rockies to Missoula, Montana, we'll survive the ride, a grizzly bear encounter, and giardia. And all along the way, biking fully self-supported. Over 2 weeks and 600 miles through some of the most beautiful and untouched nature in all of Canada and America. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button, because you're not going to want to miss this 5-part series. This is Getaway. On this episode of Getaway, we cross the US border without a passport, and we visit one of the most remote towns in the lower 48. Make sure to check out the previous episodes first for the full story. But now, we're going to pick up where we left off, on day 8 of the world's longest off-road bike route. With the US border in sight, I remember reflecting on our journey so far. We had biked over 200 miles through beautiful southeastern British Columbia, and had a feeling of achievement. Hell, I had survived a grizzly bear encounter, and we had all stepped out of our comfort zone to make it this far. At this moment of achievement came an equal moment of dread as I searched my bags for my passport. After unpacking, repacking, and unpacking all of my bags, I still couldn't find it. We were at the border at this point. My parents had theirs, and I had my ID, so we decided to give it a try. We went up to the border guard, explained the situation. I mean, we were on bikes, for Christ's sakes, and my parents, they had the same last name as me. So after pleading with him, boy, were we lucky when he decided to let us through. Kind of just gave us a gesture, waved us through. And I'm really appreciative, because in that moment, the whole trip could have really come to a screeching halt. I'm not sure exactly what we would have done to get back to America if they didn't let me back without my passport. Probably have to order a temporary one, but next thing you know, we are in the US of A, in a tiny border town named Rooseville. It was here we decided to check out the local watering hole, the first and last chance bar and duty-free store. Getting back on our bikes, we rode further down along a stretch of busy highway through the town of Eureka, Montana. Eureka was founded in the early 1880s as settlers moved north from Missoula and south from Canada into what is now known as the Tobacco Plains. Logging was the first major draw and source of income, and it was once known as the Christmas tree capital of the world. Today, Eureka is a small but cute town flush with architecture from frontier times. Riding further along the freeway, we eventually took a left turn onto a forest road headed east, a few miles down the road. We came to a beautiful old building, bustling with patrons, dining and enjoying live music. We had arrived at the H.A. Grill, a famous pizza restaurant and brew pub right next to the campground we would be staying at for the night. There was bike parking where fellow Great Divide riders' bikes were already laid out, and we parked our bikes alongside theirs and went in for some pizza. It was very busy, there was a long wait, but the pizza really hit the spot after riding all day. The next day we continued along the forest road further east into the mountains. Eventually, the paved road gave way to gravel as we continued to climb in elevation. Today, we would be crossing Grave Creek Pass as we rode over 30 miles along Trail Creek Road to Polebridge, Montana. Polebridge lies in the remote and untamed wilderness of Montana, nestled within the embrace of Glacier National Park. Polebridge, one of the most remote towns in the United States, is a place that embodies the very spirit of the American West. To get here by car, you have to drive 35 miles up the North Fork, from Columbia Falls, Montana, towards the northwestern entrance of Glacier National Park. In good weather, it's about an hour's drive to reach the nearest petrol station, mobile phone service, or doctor's office. and during the 6 months each year that the road is covered in snow or ice, that drive might take half a day. 20 miles north of Polebridge, the road dead ends at the Canadian border, disappearing into an impenetrable wall of fir, pine, and larch trees. Polebridge's history, like the land itself, is a tapestry woven with threads of resilience, hardship, and pioneering spirit. It all began in the late 19th century when intrepid souls ventured westward in search of new beginnings. These early pioneers crossed treacherous rivers and traversed rugged mountain passes, seeking fertile land and boundless opportunity. And in 1880, they found it, right here on the North Fork of the Flathead River. Log by log, they carved out a community in this remote wilderness. It's a place where hard work was currency and where self-sufficiency was a way of life. To this day, that clearly remains, as the residents have a dogged drive towards ecological harmony, resilience, and self-sufficiency. I really respect the residents of Polebridge, past and present, for what they've built and what they share. Today, Polebridge stands as a living testament to the enduring spirit of the American West. Its historic buildings, rustic charm, and breathtaking natural beauty continue to draw those seeking solace in the wild. A respite from the modern world. The heart of Polebridge is the Polebridge Mercantile. This iconic rustic red outpost has served as the hub of a community for over a century. It was here that settlers gathered, shared stories, and stocked up on supplies that were too often hard to come by. Today, the tradition is continued as it thrives on a bakery, grocery store, and museum. Alongside the Mercantile is a small saloon and a few cabins available for rent. You see, Polebridge has become a bit of a remote sightseeing vacation destination, as people make the long drive from signature baked goods and a taste of the wild frontier. There's even a hostel, yurt, and food carts during the summer. I highly recommend you visit it if you get a chance. There's really nothing like it. But now that we've established some history and context, let's get back to our adventure as we ride up Trail Creek Road. The road quickly transitioned from pavement to gravel as we gained in elevation. After a tough climb, we reached the peak and could see Glacier National Park in the distance. There was a small stream running down the mountain, which we used to fill our water, and then we were off. As we headed down into a valley, the road became especially rough, as it was plagued by washboard. 10 odd miles of washboard later, and we eventually arrived at the town of Polebridge. It was late afternoon, but the scene was lively, and the restaurant and saloon were open. After grabbing some food, I started to feel a stomachache develop, and we checked into the Polebridge Hospital for camping spots. After a rough night of cold sweats and stomach pain, I was in no shape to ride. We decided to check into a real room at the hostel, and I started 2 nights of pain and suffering as I went through one of the worst food poisoning / giardia spells I have ever had. I'm not sure if I got it from the pizza place, the water on the mountain, or the Polebridge restaurant, but looking back, HA Brewery and that pizza seemed to be the most likely suspect. It was super busy when we went, and it tasted a little undercooked. Also, the timing works out. Regardless, I lost some weight over those few days and emerged in a weak state. It was an especially hard couple days as there was no electricity and warm water was only available at certain times of the day. But thankfully, we found a couple that volunteered to drive us to the next town in their pickup truck. We threw our bikes in the back and carried on along our journey, and the car suspension made the washboard much more tolerable. Thanking the friendly strangers for a ride again, we arrived in Columbia Falls, Montana, and booked into a cheap motel as I sweated off the last of my sickness. I rested the whole day and was finally able to eat some food as I started to regain my strength. Tomorrow we would be heading out along rural farm roads down south to Big Fork, Montana, and Wayfarer State Park, where we would be camping for the night. But that's enough for today. You'll have to tune in next time for the next part of the story. If you want to support the channel, just drop a like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to drop your bikepacking stories or any creative feedback you have in the comments below. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Getaway.